Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Megacast. It's not a podcast. It's not a radio broadcast. Not a television broadcast. It's not even an internet TV broadcast. It is the Megacast. It is a combination of all and more. And we are getting together each and every day here in the West Bloomfield, Walled Lake, Auburn Hills, Birmingham, Pontiac, Rochester area, all across Oakland County to bring you the most up-to-date and current information surrounding the coronavirus. Good morning. My name is Dave Scott. Tyler Keefe running around hitting some buttons. He'll be here in our Lakes FM studios in just a couple of minutes. We want to thank all of our outlets for participating today, and that includes Civic Center TV. You can find Civic Center TV on Channel 15 on Comcast, Channel 99 on AT&T, and you can get to that AT&T page from virtually anywhere around southeastern Michigan if you have an AT&T subscription. If it's just as easy for you, you can go online and watch us today at civiccentertv.com, civiccentertv.com. Listening is just as good, though. Actually, we don't look that great anyway, so listening on the radio is fine. 89.3 Lakes FM. We are in the Lakes FM studios in Walnut Lake Road in West Bloomfield. 88.1 WBFH, The Biff. Thanks, Ron. Ron at Bloomfield Hills for getting us on the air each and every day. And WAHS, 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. And we thank Logan for joining us there at Avondale. In fact, he's going to be on the air with us in a couple of minutes. Avondale High School junior Logan Pizzuro will join us, along with Ken Gutman, Superintendent of the Walled Lake Consolidated Schools. We thank Ken and the schools today in Walled Lake for being our Facebook partner. You can also watch the entire broadcast today on Facebook, on the Walled Lake Schools Facebook page. Speaking of really intelligent, thoughtful young people, joining us in addition to Logan today will be Jack and Sammy Pollock. They're West Bloomfield residents. They are in middle school and high school in Bloomfield Hills, and they built a website called Quarantine. You can go to quarantinehelp.com on the web and find out all about it. Really an amazing site for students that are going through this coronavirus. So we're going to hear from not only educators, but we're also going to hear from students today and see how this whole situation is impacting them. Kurt Lawson checks in from the West Bloomfield Police Department. West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder is going to talk to us about the challenges we have getting people to work during the election. A lot of seniors have always contributed because they have time as election workers, but now in this current environment with seniors so vulnerable, the clerks around the state and across Oakland County are saying maybe that's not the best strategy. So they are looking for additional help. We're also going to check in with one of the people that is generally behind the scenes here on the Megacast. It's Ken Cooper, who is our Director of Production at Motown Digital. Motown Digital is my company that actually runs all the operations behind the scenes here at Civic Center TV and our radio stations. And Ken's going to join us because he is an expert on Zoom, on WebEx, on GoToMeeting, and all the other ones, and a bunch of new sites that you might not have heard about that are really cool. So we're going to go through all of those and see what you use when and how it's going. Tyler Keefe is down in the studio, and Tyler, I don't know about you, but I've been using Zoom a lot. We're going to use it in a minute with Ken Gutman, but that's not the only app that's out there that's really helpful.
No, there's so many, and there's more that are oncoming now and have and other apps that have transitioned into something more along the lines of a Zoom or Skype or GoToMeeting, WebEx, and so on, to help grow that market during this time. And I've been using Zoom a lot, but it'll be interesting to get a new angle on the other potential apps to use from Ken Cooper later on.
All right, so we'll talk to Ken about that. And look at Ken Gutman. Look how good he looks. He's on TV right now. Look how good he looks on Zoom. You got it mastered, Ken. Good job.
Well, thanks, Dave. I'm trying to play around with the backgrounds. I wish I had a conference room that looked this nice.
Oh, that's a fake conference? I thought that was a real one.
Totally fake.
Oh, totally are you kidding? You faked me out.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, before we're going on the air, I'm saying, Ken, there's a lot of light. Could you close the shades in those windows? And he did. All right, you got me.
That good?
You got me. So that's a nice conference room, though. I'd like to have one like that in my office. Ken, can you hang on 30 seconds here? Just want to go through the headlines for today, and then we'll get to all of our educators and talk to them here on the show. First of all, state's unemployment site is still having a hard time. Crashed couple of times yesterday. You know what I would advise you to do? I talked to some folks last night that actually went in at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. You might want to set your alarm clock and do that. Oakland County comes out with a ruling that caught our attention. This is not from the state, it's just from Oakland County, and this goes into effect in about a week. Essential workers providing goods and services. We're talking primarily stores, restaurants, those folks that are out in public. Essential workers need to start wearing face masks in Oakland County when they are at work. And any other workers who, regardless of where they are, if they are not able to maintain social distancing as required, the 6-foot rule, then they need to start wearing face masks. So, Tyler, you better can move over there to your side of the board. Oh. Otherwise, I don't think we can can we broadcast with face masks?
I mean, we'll have to do a sound check, but I'm sure we can.
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to work. And then just one other really, Ken, thank you for being so patient. One other really quick comment about face masks. And I don't know if you've noticed this. I'm seeing a lot of face masks that have that little square in the front of it. Are all of those N95 face masks?
Most N95 face masks will be directly marked N95 or have 95 or some sort of indication that it is an N95 on it. But a lot of those do have exactly what you're talking about.
It just seems to me like there are a lot of people in the store with those face masks that have the little squares on it. And you know what? We got to find out about that and see what's going on, because that isn't right. I mean, I thought we were reserving those for our first responders and for the people working in the hospitals. Now, I don't even know where people get those. I mean, you can't go into Rite Aid and get an N95 mask. So maybe they know somebody. I don't know, but it just doesn't seem like a good idea. So we're going to work on that story for you as well. Governor extends driver's licenses and registrations. We'll talk about this a little bit more today. That one directly affected me, Tyler. My birthday was March 29th. My driver's license expired. I couldn't renew it because the Secretary of State's office is closed. I'm driving around with an expired plate and an expired driver's license. Thank you, Governor. I got till June 30th, along with the rest of us. We'll talk about that. This is just one. This one struck me as funny, but it makes a lot of sense. Liquor stores and restaurants and bars can return liquor back to the state of Michigan and get some money back. So another way, you think about it, they probably have a lot of money in liquor invested in the stock and inventory they have. So that's another story we'll talk about today. GFL in many of our communities is back to picking up yard waste. That's good news. They had to shut that down. They are back doing it. Senators Town Hall on all of our television stations here in Metro Detroit, Thursday night, 7 o'clock, kind of what we did with the governor's town hall. I think that was last week. The days all blend together.
Yeah,
but that's going to be Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and we'll get to Ken here. But just one other thing I noticed over the weekend, that the pundits and the national media really have us in the spotlight, and Governor Whitmer in the spotlight. That some of these news stories that hit the national media about not being able to buy car seats, and then some of the other things, I think that whole policy, I understand what she was trying to do. She's trying to keep the big box stores from becoming retailers, and we're really only supposed to be getting essential stuff out of the big box stores. And it was well intended, I get it, but it's making us look a little silly, that you can get this item, but you can't get that item, and it almost seems like, I'm not picking on her, I'm just saying it's just a little jam we got into. It seems, Tyler, that the national news media is having a field day with us on that.
Yeah, and I think it also created grounds for a field day of misinformation to be out there as well about what isn't allowed to be purchased and what is allowed to be purchased, because that's going to vary store to store as these stores interpret what they can and cannot sell and make their own decisions based on the governor's orders and the attorney general's updates. So some clarity would be really nice with that, and we'll see. And that's probably why we have been in the spotlight of the national pundits.
All right, let's get to the very patient Ken Gutman. He is the superintendent of the Walled Lake Consolidated School District with his fake background. And hi, Ken. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dave. How are you?
Good. So any comment on any of our news today? You probably don't want to dip your toe in that pond, but that's what we're doing here every day.
Yeah, I'm going to stick to education if that's all right with you. I think everything we do right now is subject to scrutiny, both in our national and our state leaders. Ultimately, what I really believe, and I don't think I'm naive in saying I think most people are doing what they think is best for most people. And I can tell you in the schools, that's our attitude too. We're going to do the very best we can under the circumstances and try to take care of everyone.
Well, and you know that's so well said, and that's why I love doing this show, because you, the other people that we have on a regular basis, you just call it the way you see it, and I appreciate that. And really, that it's just common sense. You cannot write a set of guidelines and rules to cover every situation, and no matter where you weigh in politically, it's impossible. You know, it doesn't matter who is writing the rules. It's going to be very difficult to interpret every situation and try and document it and write it in legalese. So I don't envy what the governor's having to go through right now. And then you're on the other side of it. As a superintendent of one of our school districts, you need to interpret all this and apply it to your school. How's that going?
So we'll err on the side of children and we'll make the best decision we can with the information we have at the time. And the information continues to change. As each order comes through, we interpret it, we react, and we immediately put things in place that help kids. And so we're going to continue to do our best for all of our children.
So we talked before we went on the air. You say you're working on a thing called continuity of learning. Can you explain to we lay people what that is and what you're up to?
You bet. So it's part of the governor's executive order. Each district, each school district, and maybe it comes from Michigan Department of Education, regardless, each school district is responsible for what's called a continuity of learning plan that must be approved by the intermediate school district, in our case, Oakland schools. And so that really addresses such issues as how we'll meet the needs of learners, what we'll do specifically to meet their needs. And so we're going to submit ours in the next day or so. We want to make sure we have good collaboration with our educators and others, and we'll submit that continuity of learning plan. In Walled Lake, we've been doing enrichment for 3 weeks and waiting to get some direction from the state. We have that direction now. And so our next step is we'll do a couple days of professional development with our teachers this Thursday, this Friday, and we'll be up and running with new instruction, new curriculum next Monday. So we feel like we adopted a pretty good set of guidelines early on. We have more information now. We're prepared to move forward in a collaborative way to continue to educate our children.
So help me understand, Ken Gutman, Superintendent, Walled Lake Consolidated Schools. In your normal environment, is curriculum designed locally by the local school board and the local community to fit within some guidelines? Is that what typically happens?
Well, there's a long story behind that, but certainly there are local interpretations of curriculum, yes. A lot of what we do does subscribe to somewhat of a state curriculum as well, because our students are measured by state and national tests.
All right.
So while there's some local I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No. Forgive me for interrupting. So if that's the case in normal times, this continuity of learning that the Department of Education or whatever state agency asks you to do it, put together, this is your new game plan going forward. How is this different than the way it was working in the past?
Well, so we'll continue to teach much of the same curriculum, but we have to find a way to do it that makes sense. You can't do the same types of things you do in a classroom. Picture a kindergarten classroom, sitting on the rug, doing activities with children there, hands-on activities, more kinesthetic types of learning. You can't do that as well virtually. So we're finding a way to adapt that and look at some of the essential learning, some of our power standards, some of the big learnings that we think we can accomplish between now and the end of the year. It's a lot easier, although not easy to teach in a classroom, far from easy. But it's even more complicated by trying to do that online, hoping you can reach each of your learners, but not necessarily being able to read their faces the same way as you would in the same classroom.
So, Ken Gutman, you're writing the syllabus, if you will, the game plan for how you're going to educate students against the state standards, given the technical limitations that you have in not being in the classroom. It's the quote-unquote educational new normal. Do I have that right?
I think you said it much better than I did.
Well, so does every school district need to figure that out for themselves, or is there collaboration, some structure, so you can try to figure it out together?
Yes and yes. Some choose to go it alone. We continue to talk to superintendents, or I do, from the Tri-County area and across the state. I know in Oakland County, we have a really collaborative group of superintendents. And so we do talk about what we're doing. What complicates things is we all have different spring breaks. So some districts were able to get ahead because their spring break was a week earlier. Others had to wait a little bit. But our collaboration is strong, and certainly we all cater or tailor our plans to our local community. But yeah, there's a lot of collaboration. I think it's one thing that we've uncovered throughout this pandemic is that our educational leaders in the county continue to be good teammates.
So, one of your colleagues, Pat Watson at Bloomfield Hills Schools, he gave us a really good quote, and we keep going back to it. And he said, "Hope is a good one. Hope is not a plan. Hope is not a plan." So, a couple of things school is going to be closed. The physical school is going to be closed for the balance of the year. I assume you have a plan for that.
We do. We're going to continue teaching for the remainder of the year. We're going to work closely with our educators and our community to make sure that we do the very best we can for each and every one of our children. And we're working on our calendar and other issues for next year to try to make sure that we can make up for any potential lost learning. Certainly there is a plan. And by the way, a shout out to Pat Watson. Every day he tweets a quote in the morning, and they're usually pretty inspirational.
Well, let's go find him. Tyler, let's go find Pat Watson's quote for today. We'll take a look right now and see if we can find it. Okay, so hope is not a plan. I assume you have a plan for the summer as well.
We do, but it will really be largely dependent on when people are allowed to get together again and what's determined to be essential. So we have passed, thanks to a fantastic support of Walled Lake Schools community, a $316 million bond last year. Well, we're supposed to begin construction shortly. And so our summer may look very different should construction workers and others not be deemed essential workers. The plan academically we're working on and we feel will be sound. The plan in terms of our physical environment, it's up in the air.
And then I really even hate to ask this, but we have to because we have to have a plan. For goodness sakes, I mean, it is possible that we are going to see another peak in the fall. We hope not. I hope we come out of May. I hope May 2nd, we're all out at the parks and on the beaches and back at work. That may not be reality. And even when we do get back and these orders are lifted, we may see another round. Are you working on plans for that? Or are schools trying to think, oh, my goodness, in the worst case scenario, school can't open up in the fall or we got to shut it down again? Are there plans that you're working on in those scenarios?
You bet. You can hope for the best, but plan for the worst, right? So
Yeah.
Hope is not a plan for the worst. And we're going to. The reality is if we're doing this again in the fall, if we're doing virtual learning again, we'll be better at it and we'll continue to adapt and get stronger. We didn't have any idea this was coming. We couldn't have planned for it earlier. But now that we know it's possible, we need to make sure that we take care of everyone. And that involves thinking about what happens in the fall should we not be together. And so we'll be better at what we do in August or September if, in fact, that becomes something we have to deal with.
And I'm sure in your plan, Ken Gutman, Superintendent of the Walled Lake Consolidated Schools, somewhere along there, we've learned some good things. There is going to be some new normal, and it doesn't have to be bad from the experiences that we've gone through over the past couple of months.
Yeah, we've learned a lot about each other, too, I think. And yeah, it hasn't been face to face, but I have seen more people step up and volunteer to help and be in contact with people they hadn't spoken with before, and offer whatever people need. The good in man and good in women, we've seen it. We've seen it happen more and more through this crisis. And so I continue to be hopeful that we'll be better for this, and that there will be even more lessons of good things that happen as we bemoan the fact that we're in our homes still.
All right, Ken. Well, I appreciate Ken Gutman, Superintendent, Walled Lake Schools. Thank you very much for your time today. Just the basic reminders. Food's still available through the schools if people need a meal?
Still delivering 10 to 15,000 meals a week and having them available at 2 of our high schools for the community. Still making sure those who have technology needs get them. And we still have an info@wlcsd.org email address. We're putting together a frequently asked questions document. And we encourage people to send their emails in, let us know not only what their questions are, but how we can help them and be better partners with them throughout this.
All right. And, listen, I want to congratulate you on everything you're doing. And I know you have amazing students in Walled Lake. We'll get a chance to meet them. In the next couple of minutes, we're going to meet some other students from around our coverage area. Logan in Avondale, and then Jack and Sammy in West Bloomfield and Bloomfield Hills, and find out about some of the amazing work they're doing. I'm sure you've had, now that things settle down a little bit, an opportunity to see some of the students that have taken this lemon situation and turned it into lemonade.
We can learn a lot from our children. They tend to find the good in things, and so we have for sure. And I look forward to seeing what these fine student leaders from other districts are doing as well.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Anything else, Ken Gutman?
I thank you as always for your time. What a great show you have. You have innovative student leaders. You got Debbie Binder and Kurt Lawson. You got a great community, and continue the good work. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, thank you very much. And you are still number one in the hit parade in Walled Lake when we're on your Facebook page, as we are today. More people watch the show than virtually any other of our partners, so we greatly appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Walled Lake Schools always shows up.
All right, Ken Gutman, Superintendent, Walled Lake Consolidated School District, joining us here on the Megacast. Tyler, some of those Pat Watson quotes. Pat Watson, again, for folks that don't know Pat is the Superintendent of Schools in Bloomfield Hills and former principal of West Bloomfield. And Superintendent Gutman said he's been posting some inspirational sayings every day. What are you seeing on there?
Well, today's quote was very similar to the "Hope is not a plan" quote that we've been mentioning lately, but yesterday's quote from Superintendent Watson was, quote, when you get into a tight place and everything goes against you till it seems as though you could not hang on a minute longer, never give up then, for that is just the place and the time that the tide will turn, which is a quote from Harriet Beecher Stowe.
I love it. And do you have another one?
Yeah, the day before that it was, think outside of the box, create your own path in life. You laugh at me because I'm different. I laugh because you are all the same. That is from Daniel Node.
All right. He reads a lot more than I do, Tyler.
He does. He reads a lot. He's a big reader.
He reads a lot more than I do. Pat Watson, thank you. We'll get you back in the air real soon. Coming up in a couple of minutes, we're going to check in with Jack and Sammy Pollock. They are West Bloomfield residents. One is in the middle school, and I think that's Sammy. And Jack is, I think, a junior or senior at Bloomfield Hills High School. They built a website called Quarantine. We're going to find out what they're up to in a couple of minutes. But right now, we go back to Zoom, and there he is. We finally get a chance to meet him face-to-face, sort of, via Zoom, and we say hello to Logan Pizzuro. Logan, good morning, and welcome to the Megacast.
Good morning.
Wow, you sound great. That's a really good connection we have via Zoom for you. Logan is it the general manager at WAHS?
Yeah, I'm the student station manager at WAHS.
All right. You tell them that when I was the student station manager in West Bloomfield, when I was your age, they called me the general manager. I would fight for a better title, but no, you're doing great. You're the student station manager at WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. Logan every day gets us on the air, and I know you're doing your other things. You got family issues, and you're meeting, I'm sure, doing things with your friends and studying, and you take time for the radio station every day. Thank you very much for all you're doing to help get the show across a whole lot more of Oakland County and Metro Detroit.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to, be able to get the news that, people in our area would need to hear. So thank you for having this available.
And the other thing I want to mention to you, Logan, and I was telling Tyler who's in the studio, and you can't see us, I apologize, but the audience can. And when I get off the air, I tune into all of our radio stations, 89.3 Lakes FM, WBFH, The Biff, and then WAHS. And I don't know, I love the music I'm hearing when I'm driving back over to my office in Troy. And you guys got a really good music mix in your radio station. Sounds good.
Thank you.
So, Logan, what's going on with you? And tell us, what's the big story? You're a junior at Avondale High School. What's the big story that you want to share with us about what's going on in your world and with students at Avondale High School?
Last week at Avondale was our spring break. So they announced then kind of what we're going to be doing for our online schooling. They basically posted a schedule of here's when math classes are going to be, here's when science classes are going to be. It's kind of just like they have the same amount of time that they do in class, basically. So each teacher is going to be able to like be in contact during then, and it's definitely going to be a different change.
How's that working for you? I mean, is this working out okay? Because we hear from the superintendents. We just heard from Ken Gutman in Walled Lake. We've heard from your superintendent, Schwartz. He's been on the show. We'll get him on again. But, you're the ones you and your classmates are the ones that are dealing with it every day. How's it going?
Well, we haven't officially started yet. We're going to officially start next week on the 20th. But we did a little bit of online schooling beforehand, but it wasn't required because the school was projected to still be open after all of this. But I've been in different meetings with Zoom, and just being able to talk to my teachers just to make sure I'm on the right track has been really helpful.
How's that going in chatting with your teachers? Logan Pazura is joining us. He is the student manager at WAHS and a junior at Avondale High School. Are you able to interact with the teachers? Because I imagine that's a key to really understanding what's going on.
Yeah, a lot of my teachers have put up these classroom hours, and you can just go in, check in, ask questions about an assignment, or just make sure that you're doing stuff correctly, or just, even get more information about what's to come from the teacher, and stuff like that.
So, Logan, it can't be easy. You've been on spring break. Now you're going to get back into class and get online. What does spring break look like for a high school junior during this crazy time? I just can't imagine, because when I think about what I would have been doing, I'd be, out of my bike. At your age, I had a little crummy car that I would work on and drive around a little bit, just hanging out with my friends and doing all the things that teenagers do. What's it like? What's going on in your world, and maybe what can you share with us?
I've been inside for a very long time. So it's definitely really different. I've been able to connect with some of my friends. I've been using Discord to talk with the majority of them. We've been, me and my group of friends have been trying to think, well, let's still try and do stuff together, so we all can keep somewhat sane during this. We actually started up a Dungeons and Dragons game, and we have been starting. We've done 2 sessions of that so far, and it's definitely an adjustment. But I think if we continue to power through, it will work out.
All right. Well, I appreciate your optimism. It's kind of cool, Tyler Keefe. Dungeons and Dragons is a little bit more your generation, Tyler, than my generation. But Logan, it's good to see that's something that you're doing. They're playing Dungeons and Dragons, Tyler. And are you listening to Led Zeppelin albums too, Logan? That would make me feel really good if that was the case.
I'm not. I've been listening to the Monkees.
Even better yet. Hey, really, you're a Monkees fan, huh?
I am. Yeah, I actually got to see the Monkees in concert.
Really? Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, anything else you want to share with our listeners across your radio station and the rest of our audience?
Well, nothing too much. Just actually yesterday we did a test of a remote broadcast. So for our radio station. So maybe we'll be able to do some live shows, because that's kind of been on a pause right now, but we might be able to start up live shows on our station again. So,
that'd be great. Well, just let me know if I can be of any help. Let's talk when we get off the show, and
right.
Let me know what I can do. Where did you do your remote broadcast from yesterday? Or was it just somewhere that you don't want to mention in the air? It's just a test.
No, we did it on Google Hangouts. Our station advisor, Miss McNee, she was actually able to be in the studio to pull us up on there, and so we were able to kind of get the feed from the Google Hangouts call.
That's a good way. That's a good way to do it. We got all kinds of equipment here, but Google Hangouts or Zoom, you can, run the app up on your phone and do pretty good radio that way. So it's amazing. All right, Logan, what's your aspiration from a career standpoint? Do you want to be a broadcaster?
I'm still thinking about that. I've been thinking more maybe computer programming career path, but possibly broadcasting.
I was going to take a shot at broadcasting and say you'd be better off in computer programming, but I'm not going to do that. This is a great industry, and I know you're going to be fine whatever you do. So thank you so much for joining us. You're doing a great job, and thank you very much for helping us get on the air every day. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
All right, there he is, computer programmer, station manager, student station manager extraordinaire, Logan Pizzuro, joining us from Avondale and WAHS Radio. We're going to check in just a moment, Tyler. We're going to play a couple of quick announcements here, and then we're going to check in with Jack and Sammy Pollock as we continue to take a look at what's going on with students in our area. These two, they may end up being computer programmers also, Tyler. They have built a website called Quarantine, and we'll find out all about that in just a couple of minutes. Thank you for tuning in and watching the Megacast. Dave Scott in our Lakes FM studios. We also want to thank 88.1 WBFH The Biff, WAHS 89.5, Avondale Community Radio, and thank you so much for watching on Civic Center TV and CivicCenterTV.com. We'll be back in a moment.
I know you're concerned about the coronavirus, and we're working hard to combat its spread and keep your family safe. But we need your help, too. Wash your hands often with soap for at least 20 seconds. Avoid touching your face and cough into your sleeve. Replace handshakes with an elbow bump. Avoid large crowds or events, and if you're sick, stay home and call your health provider. Every one of us can make a difference limiting the virus's spread and keeping Michigan healthy.
Hello, I'm Dr. Faust, Medical Director for the Oakland County Health Division. Coronavirus disease 2019, or COVID-19, is a new disease caused by a new respiratory virus named SARS-CoV-2. COVID-19 was first identified in December 2019. There is currently no vaccine to prevent coronavirus disease 2019. The best way to prevent illness is to avoid being exposed to this virus. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after going to the bathroom, before eating, and after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces using a regular household cleaning spray or wipe. Avoid close contact with people who are sick, and avoid touching your eyes, your nose, your mouth. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, then throw the tissue in the trash. Finally, stay home when you're sick. For more information about coronavirus disease 2019, go to oakgov.com/health or call 1-800-848-5533.
All right, welcome back to the Megacast on Lakes FM 89.3, 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, WAHS 89.5, Avondale Community Radio, Civic Center TV, CivicCenterTV.com, and we want to thank our friends in Walled Lake at the Walled Lake Consolidated School District for putting us on their Facebook channel today. We're going to talk to Jack and Sammy Pollock in just a minute. I can't believe what I just did. So if you were watching on TV, right during that public service announcement where it says, don't touch your face, what do? I touch my face. So it's hard, doing all these things. So I don't want those of you watching saying, well, hey, they run the announcement on TV. It says, don't touch your face. And then your guy on TV is touching his face. So we're doing the best we can. Everyone's doing what they can to stay safe during this whole thing. And if you can't see me right now, I'm wiping down the studio, and hopefully we are going to be just fine. We have been so far. Social distancing, washing our hands, keeping our studio clean has worked very well for us. There's only a couple of us in the building, and we are staying healthy. Keeping our heads healthy is also very important, and we have two leaders in our community that are doing a good job, and neither of them have reached drinking age yet, so it's even more impressive that they have put together an amazing website called Quarantine. Joining us now via Zoom, let's say hello to Jack and Sammy Pollock. Jack, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Excellent, Sammy. Welcome to the Megacast. Welcome to the Megacast. So you guys live in West Bloomfield and go to Bloomfield Hills schools, right?
Yeah.
And are you at your home right now?
Yeah, we're at home.
Okay. How you guys doing? Everyone healthy? Everyone doing okay in your house?
Yeah, we're good.
Everyone's good and
Hanging in
healthy.
there.
Well, thank you for joining us. Jack, let's start with you. Tell me about quarantine and why you guys put this together.
So it all started like a couple weeks into after the school's closing, and me and my mom and my sister came up with the idea of starting this website because I wanted to do more with the time that I had right now. And so me and my sister and my mom came up with this website, and we started getting emails pretty quick, and we just.
So what's the purpose? Sammy, of the website? What do you hope people will do when they interact with you via the web?
So what we really made this website for is to help people that maybe are an only child or have parents that work on a daily basis and don't really have people to talk to or to be around. And it's just a really good way to not only help people, but just to give people a place to go that they feel safe and someone to talk to.
And why is that important, Sammy? Why is that important right now?
Well, it's always important to have a place to go to, especially if it's even just to talk to someone about how you feel or your day, just so that you yourself are okay, and that it's just important to have people around you and to have conversations with people.
Well, it's really good. Go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
Right now, it's especially important because in quarantine, you're not seeing any of your friends or anything, so you can feel lonely or bored and might want to. And so we can be someone that you can talk to.
I think it's so astute of both of you to figure that out, to put the website together, and to recognize that that other folks may be having some challenges and helping them out. I love the name of your website. It is perfect. You guys are marketing geniuses. Who came up with the name, and how did you come up with quarantine? Perfect.
Well, so we got quarantine because most of us are on quarantine, but then at the end we put teen because we want kids and people our age to talk to us. So we thought teen is not only teenagers, but it's also younger than teenagers, even kids in elementary school, middle school, and high school can all talk to us, all ages. And we put help because we just want to help people and whoever we can.
So it's quarantinehelp.com. What do people find when they go to the site?
Say it again.
It's called quarantinehelp.com. That's the URL, right? And what do people find? What are they going to find on the site when they go there?
So once you go to the website, you'll see a picture of both of us, and it's a whole couple paragraphs about how it started and who we are. And then if you also scroll down, you can reach out to us, or you can visit our blog, which we just started posting. And it just talks about what we're doing in the day and just things that people can do. Yeah, during this time.
All right. Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic. We're going to send you a link of this video. There's a guy, Jake, who's going to send you guys an email after the interview is over. And if you want to put a copy of the video up, you can put it on your website so people can see that you're not only genius web developers, but you are also media celebrities as well. You've been getting a lot of coverage from this thing, too. I think I saw an article in the Oakland Press, if I'm not correct. And so have you been getting a lot of people reaching out to you, media and otherwise?
Yeah, we've had 2 other interviews. We've had one with Metro Parent and one with Jewish News.
Oh, yeah, that's where I saw it, actually. I did see it in the Jewish News. Well, you know what? Be careful, because this is such a good idea. You may be on, CNN before you know it. You ready for that? Maybe not. All right. Yeah, you're just doing it to talk to your friends. Okay, your friends like the idea, and people that are using the site, do they like it?
Yeah, we've had a lot of positive feedback.
All right. Jack, you're a student at Bloomfield Hills High School, is that correct?
Yeah.
And Sammy, where do you go to school?
I go to West Hills Middle School.
All right. 2 great schools, 2 great young people. We are so proud of you. Bravo. Great job. Thank you for coming on the show. Keep up the good work. And if anything else develops in your website, let us know and we'll get you back on, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Good job. Amazing story, Tyler Keefe. A couple of young people in our community come up with a great idea, and they're implementing it and making it better for everybody. It's called quarantine. How about that?
Yeah, it's a great idea, and it's a great thing that they're doing, and it's good to see people from my neck of the woods, from my schools. I mean, Bloomfield Hills, I was an Andover grad, but we'll put me in there. And then West Hills, I went there for middle school. It's great to see these kids doing great things while they're in school, and at such a young age, taking charge and being a positive impact on the community.
All right, Jack, Sammy, you did a great job. Thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast. So we just were handed a media update. There's going to be a press conference at 10 o'clock in Oakland County, or 11 o'clock, forgive me, in Oakland County. We're going to do our very best to get connected and take that at the top of the hour. It gives us about 20 minutes before we get that. We'll do our best to pick it up. And in the meantime, we're going to check in with Ken Cooper in a moment. Ken is our director of production here at our company. And he is an expert, Tyler, as you well know, on all of these different apps that we're using to chat with folks, Zoom, GoToMeeting, and many others. And we're going to find out all about it. And how's it been going for you? I mean, has it been working out okay, the stuff you've been doing online?
Yeah, I've had a few Zoom meetings with my family. It's been working out really well. I've learned a few things from it and hosted a couple of them myself, and learned a lot from Ken and John and the other people on the team that have been running these Zoom meetings for us and for the other communities that we do meetings and whatnot for.
All right, so we'll take a 30-second timeout. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Ken Cooper from the Motown Digital team talks Zoom when we return. Press conference, media conference coming up at the top of the hour from Oakland County. Again, Tyler, what are they going to talk about today?
They're going to be providing an update on testing in Oakland County, as well as a new public health order that regards PPE use in the workplace.
Okay, exactly what we were seeing and talking about on the show earlier, as essential workers are going to need to start wearing masks. We'll find out about that. That is a specific order for folks in Oakland County. So we'll have that. We also check in with West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder next hour, and a lot of West Bloomfield folks. Kurt Lawson, the chief of the West Bloomfield Police Department. We'll get to them before the hour is over after the media conference. I'm Dave Scott. He's Tyler Keefe. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonae Caldoun. We know that COVID-19 is spreading rapidly across Michigan right now. The most important thing people can do to protect themselves is social distancing. That means unless you are a critical infrastructure worker or going out to get food or medicine for your home, you should be staying at home. Stay home, stay safe, save lives.
Stay home, stay safe, save lives. Sounds so simple, and it is. Tyler, this is the simplest thing I've ever done and the hardest thing I've ever done all at the same time.
It really is, Dave. You put that about as perfectly as I could have worded it. It's such a simple thing to just stay home, don't do anything. But at the same time, you're so used to we're social beings, and being out and talking to people and being out on the town and being around other people is something we're so used to that it's a big change.
And you need to watch yourself for for your mental health too, even if it's only a little thing. I catch myself being at home, not getting depressed because, I don't think I am, but, I just get at home. There's no one. I live alone, so it's, you kind of isolate your friends on the phone at times, and you just get kind of bummed out. And then, you kind of dig yourself out of that. You hopefully sense that you're doing things that aren't really productive, and you pick up the phone and call people and get on Zoom and interact with family, and everything's okay. But that's why I really like what those kids, Jack and Sammy Pollock, are doing with their quarantine. As adults, some of us are equipped, many of us are equipped, all of us hopefully are equipped to deal with this to the best we can, but it's harder for kids, so great for them. All of this made easier by the technology that we have to connect with each other. And we got a couple of minutes. Let's check in with our own Ken Coulter from Motown Digital. We are the company that operates this television operation here, and we do a lot of other things, including a lot of live streaming and connecting people. And so this guy, Ken Coulter, who we have on Zoom, is kind of our Zoom expert. So, Ken, welcome to the Megacast.
Good morning, Dave. How are you today?
We're doing great. So, I was faked out once today. I'm not going to be faked out again. I know that's not your backyard that I'm looking at behind you, right?
No, that's actually one of the features in Zoom. It's a virtual background, and it's very popular. It allows people to kind of get rid of the clutter in their home office, if you will, or otherwise. Actually, this is my dad's backyard in Toledo that I superimposed behind me. So
it's a nice looking backyard. He's got a pool back. See, when I saw this on Zoom with you the other day, I said, Ken, you got a pool. Congratulations. You're doing really well. Nice. So,
yeah, actually, this house is for sale. If you're listening from the Toledo area, hit me up. I'll connect you guys. It's a great house.
All right, make sure you get your commission on that. Ken Coulter, talk to us about Zoom. Let's start there. It's the program that has just caught America by storm.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, people in these times, I guess you'd say, are looking for a way to connect, and particularly businesses that where people are working from home. And they need a quick and easy way to connect all these people together and continue to be productive. Zoom just kind of fit right in there in the mix with a lot of other teleconferencing types of software and solutions that are out there. Zoom seemed to be the one that was easy to implement and just kind of hook up and go.
And not only for business, I know a lot of people, including my family, have been getting on Zoom every weekend, and we've been getting the family together and having some really good Zoom sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's applications that you can use like Messenger and FaceTime and things, but in terms of getting a bunch of people together very quickly and easily, Zoom seems to be a fantastic solution for that. It's got a lot of fun controls, so it's more than just a business app from that perspective.
It's been huge. It's been huge too, Ken Coulter, for Motown Digital, our Zoom expert here on the show. It's been very helpful for government and others that are holding municipal meetings in public. It's given these municipalities the opportunity to continue to conduct business in a safe way.
Yeah, it really has. The ability to kind of take those meetings from being a in-face or in-person type of scenario and being able to still have those meetings by using a solution like this is really key to any kind of government type of work or businesses that have to have these meetings continue in spite of sheltering in place.
Okay, so Ken, let's go down the list. I got a bunch of really quick, rapid-fire questions for you. Let's start with Zoom. What is the number one cool thing that Zoom can do that a lot of people might not be familiar with? What's the one thing that really help you out?
Well, I think the best thing about Zoom, not only being free, you can use it free for one-on-one and up to 40 minutes with a group. But the other thing is what we were talking about before is people seem to really like the virtual backgrounds and be able just to drop that in and not see all the other stuff that's going on.
What is different between Zoom and WebEx and GoToMeeting, some of the programs that have been around before Zoom was even popular?
So GoToMeeting and WebEx are also very powerful tools. They all share kind of the same functionality. It's just a matter of kind of who does it better. But if I had to classify it, I would say that WebEx in particular and GoToMeeting to a certain degree are designed for larger organizations who want to bring in larger number of attendees or that they want to do have more control on the back end.
And it's really amazing how good all these applications are. We can throw Skype and Skype for Business in there. Mm-hmm. Skype was really the big consumer video chat program. It started as a consumer application, and then it became Skype for Business. And it's another one that you could throw in that same category. Is that correct?
It really is. And Microsoft Teams along that same line, I've heard that a lot of people are using that. So if you're in a Microsoft environment already, where you're using Word and PowerPoint and some of the other tools that are part of Microsoft, that's a real shoe-in for you because you can, collaborate a lot more easily in that kind of environment, particularly if you've already got those kind of licenses going on.
Well, it's crazy, and the thing that that as a media observer that blows my mind is that you've got CNN and Fox and the national television networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, all using Zoom or Skype or some of these applications now to put people on television. And then how about Saturday Night Live? I mean, wasn't that crazy? Saturday night, it was like all Zoom on Saturday Night Live on broadcast television. So these applications were good enough to be on real television.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is out of necessity. I mean, I've seen some of our local news agencies in an effort to be, further apart. I saw a weather person that was actually in their van, not in front of a green screen with a TV next to them, so they could kind of handle it that way.
All right, so next power question here for you, Ken Cooper.
Yeah.
Can you do these things with an app on your phone, mobile, running around?
Absolutely. I think all of these really have a mobile app to a large degree. And so if they don't have an app, there's some applications that you can strictly use through your web browser as well. So if you don't have the app downloaded on your phone, you could use the web and their built-in web client to do much the same things. And with the proliferation of mobile devices, I would be surprised if the large majority of people aren't using their mobile device to connect to any of these solutions.
Ken Cooper, our Motown digital online Zoom quote-unquote telecommunications expert, joining us here on the Megacast. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, Ken, tell us, there's a couple of other brands that people may not be familiar with that have their own unique characteristics. Hop-In. What's Hop-In?
So Hop-In is really geared more towards businesses that are trying to change from in-person events to virtual events. So Hop-In, as well as there's a few more solutions. They're actually kind of a collaboration of event meeting planning online and the actual implementation. It sounds complicated, but really, if you think about an online event, you've got kind of a reception area, you've got your main stage, you've got breakout rooms where people get together in smaller groups. And the idea behind these applications is the idea that you can still have these meetings and do the same kind of things that you've always done in person, but do them virtually.
Are there other brands that we should be looking out for, other names, other products out there in this realm that we've not talked about?
Well, one that I particularly like, and it's not so much the same kind of thing as Zoom, is called StreamYard. And it's been used a lot as of late by a lot of YouTube streamers and people on Twitch, if you're familiar with that, where they had trouble bringing guests into their stream. So if you're taking the same thing that we're doing here and we're live streaming to a number of places, and we're doing a great job of bringing people in remotely, but if you had a group that you wanted a little bit more control over, StreamYard can be a really great solution. It has a free version and a paid version, but it allows you to do some fun tricks as well. So something to definitely look at if you're bringing remote presenters in and you want to have kind of a collaboration kind of environment for a small group of people.
It's a bold new world, Tyler Keefe. There's so many of these different applications, and we have our coronavirus vocabulary, but I think we need to build a vocabulary for all of these various applications. I mean, StreamYard. Who the heck ever heard of StreamYard? I'm sorry about that.
You might have to at this point. There's so many popping up that have their own terminology too.
Well, and they're all helpful. Ken, we got to go. We got a press conference coming up here in just a couple of minutes.
Great.
Before we say so long, though, and I don't want to get too inside baseball into what you and I do for a living, but Zoom versus going to Facebook Live. Can you? Because a lot of people are using Facebook Live. Can you just quickly, why do you use Facebook Live? When do you use Zoom? Can you ever use them together? Can you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, I think we can send our video conferences to Facebook, and that's great. But Facebook, it's the one big positive for Facebook is that most everybody has it. So you can just tune into something that's going on Facebook, where Zoom is a separate application type of thing, and it's really geared towards meetings of people, bringing people together. Facebook Live is more of I'm presenting to multiple people versus a conference of people getting together, or a meeting, if you will. So now, Facebook is a great way to take something that you want to present and send it out to the masses. It does have some other features, so I won't shortcut it that way, but that's kind of the difference, I think.
No, very well described. I appreciate that. And then we got to go, but the thing that's really cool, if you don't mind me adding, is when you combine some of these things and you take a little bit of Zoom and a little bit of Facebook and a little bit of live streaming, and then you could get out to the big audience and reach a lot of people if you're holding an event or you got a meeting or you want to get friends together or do a concert or something online. But you want to get, like if you want to do an online concert or you want to just get some friends together and you want a lot of people to see it, well, you can use Zoom to get the people together, and then you can send it out to Facebook Live to reach a lot of people. So it's sometimes a combination of these tools is really helpful. And we got to go, but I know that right inside of Zoom, you can send the signal out with, I think, the Pro version right out to Facebook Live. So some of these interactions are built right into these programs.
Yeah, for a really short example is last night we were working with one of our partners, and we had a collaboration of 12 magicians out of Chicago, well, 4 magicians and their participants. We streamed that to Facebook, who had a number of viewers on their page, and then they did they expanded that out to probably 80,000 people up to. So you can really create a lot of viewership by taking these different solutions and putting them together.
Yeah, and then how creative is that? And we got to skip along, but how creative of that is it was an after-work online virtual magic show. So a lot of fun. Ken Cooper, thank you for your information. Very helpful. Well done.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
All right. We're going to take a break on the Megacast. We're going to be back in a moment. Hopefully, we'll get some of that technology to work from Oakland County and get an update on what's going on there and their new rules that are going into effect regarding face masks for essential workers and more. You're listening to the Megacast on 89.3 WBLD, Orchard Lake, West Bloomfield, Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, 88.1 WBFH, Bloomfield Hills, the Biff, at WAHS, Auburn Hills, WAHS 89.5, Avondale Community Radio. We are also on Civic Center TV, CivicCenterTV.com. Thanks again to the Walled Lake Consolidated School District for having us on Facebook. Take a quick time out. We'll be back to see what's going on in Oakland County, and we'll get to their press conference next.
The Centers for Disease Control in Oakland County Health Division encourages households to prepare for the possibility of a coronavirus outbreak in their community. Keep extra items in your house for an extended stay at home. Remember any special food items for babies, the elderly, and pets. Keep non-prescription drugs and other health supplies on hand, such as personal medications, at least 1 month's supply, first aid kits, alcohol-based hand sanitizer, at least 60% alcohol, non-mercury thermometer, and get copies and maintain electronic versions of health records. Talk with family members about how they would be cared for if they got sick and what would be needed to care for them in your home. Learn about the plan at your child's school and your workplace. Discuss sick leave policies and/or telework options for workers who become ill. For more information, go to oakgov.com/health or call our Nurse on Call hotline at 1-800-848-5533.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonae Caldoun. We know that COVID-19 is spreading rapidly across Michigan right now. The most important thing people can do to protect themselves is social distancing. That means unless you are a critical infrastructure worker or going out to get food or medicine for your home, you should be staying at home. Stay home, stay safe, save lives.
All right, welcome back to the Megacast here on 89.3 Lakes FM, lakesfm.com, Civic Center TV, CivicCenterTV.com, 88.1 WBFH, The Biff, WAHS 89.5, Avondale Community Radio, and of course all of our other outlets, including the Walled Lake Consolidated School District. Dave Scott, along with Tyler Keefe, we're hoping in just a moment to hear from Oakland County, and I believe that we are. They have a live press conference coming up in any moment here, and we're going to take that as soon as that does go live. It's coming to us via stream from David Coulter, the county executive's office. And Tyler, today I believe what we're going to see from the county is discussion regarding their requirement that goes into effect soon, I think the 27th of April, that is going to ask for essential workers to begin wearing face masks if they are working in areas with goods and services, and they are providing those to the community. So if you're in a grocery store or in a retailer of some kind, you're going to need to put the face mask on, and that is going to be a county requirement in Oakland County, a little more complete requirement than we have seen so far from the state of Michigan. So we'll see what happens here. We're just waiting for that media conference to start in just a moment.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the county. Today's press conference will be about new testing capabilities in the county, as well as new regulations coming up about essential workers wearing PPE. Again, PPE is personal protective equipment. That's face masks, gowns if they're possible.
It's interesting that Oakland County has decided to go out on their own in this. It's something that we're not seeing from the state of Michigan, and we're seeing in Oakland County specifically. So interesting that they would do that, and it's not something that came from the governor's office.
It is interesting that it is the county that's making this decision, and it's just, from our indications, Oakland County at the moment. Normally you would see something like that from the governor's office, but Dave Coulter and his team are taking their own accounts.
All right, let's see if we can hear this now and watch.
Conference this morning as we announced.
All right, the video has frozen up here, but
Several new initiatives in Oakland
it's David
County.
Coulter, County Executive, via Facebook. Let's
David
tune
Coulter,
in.
Obviously, the Oakland County Executive, and I am joined today by Debbie Brinson from Honor Community Health. She is the CEO there, and Dr. Nick Hamadi, who is the Chief Medical Officer of Honor Health. Very delighted to have them here with us today. And Leanne Stafford, who is our Public Health Officer, and Tom Hardesty, who's our Manager of Homeland Security and who also operates our Emergency Operations Center. So I want to give you some new information today. By the way, we're also joined on the phone this morning by Mayor Deidre Waterman of Pontiac, who will have some things to say about the things in Pontiac as well. So I'm excited to announce three things this morning for you. Number one is a partnership with Honor Community Health to begin to expand our COVID-19 testing in Oakland County. The second is an additional expanded health order that renews and expands on our previous health order that expired at midnight last night and calls on employee screening and social distancing, and we'll get into more about what that looks like in a moment. And then finally, I want to discuss some new data that we are now making available on oakgov.com, on our website, and help people understand what that data is and how we will use that. So three things I want to share with you today. Before I do that, let me just start, as I always do, with an update on the positives and the fatalities in Oakland County. As of 8:30 this morning, we had 5,244 positive confirmed cases of COVID-19 in our county. Unfortunately, we also have 350 deaths across our county. The age range of those deaths is from 23 years of age to 103. The average age is 75 years old. Testing is going to be a critical component of slowing the spread of coronavirus. We know that, and we also know that many of us are frustrated that there hasn't been more robust testing, that we haven't been able to do more of it, so that's partly why I'm excited to announce the new partnership this morning with Honor Community Health as our next step in beginning to expand the testing to our residents here in Oakland County. I also want to recognize the leadership of Mayor Duggan in the city of Detroit. You know, the original testing site that started at the State Fairgrounds has been a great asset to this region, and people in Oakland County have availed themselves of that. And just as it was intended. We've learned some lessons about how to run a drive-through testing facility from there, and we have been in contact, our public health folks have been in contact with the folks who run that testing, and we have learned some of their best practices and learned what to avoid and how to navigate that. So I really do want to give a shout out to the mayor and the great folks at the public health officers from Oakland, from Wayne County and the city of Detroit in helping us learn how to better run one of these sites. And we need to build on that. We need to build on that so that we have greater capacity in our county to do more testing. And so because of that, I'm pleased to announce that Oakland County will be working together with Honor Community Health to provide additional COVID-19 testing on our government campus here in the city of Pontiac. Here are some of the highlights of that testing. Let me just share with you. So we're going to do drive-through testing similar to the State Fairgrounds and some other drive-through testing sites that are now up and running. And we're going to be taking appointments beginning this Thursday, April 16th. Now, to be tested for COVID-19 there in Pontiac, you must have symptoms. So we're not testing asymptomatic people. I want to make that clear. Eventually, we're going to need to test lots and lots of people, but because of the limited availability of testing at this point, you must have symptoms. And we also, at this point, have to prioritize who we test. Again, eventually, in a perfect world, we're going to expand this audience. But for now, right out of the gate, starting Thursday, as we ramp this work up, we're going to be prioritizing our first responders. We're going to be prioritizing the residents of Pontiac, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. We're going to be prioritizing essential and critical infrastructure employees, also those who are 65 years of age and older, and individuals with underlying health conditions. So those will be sort of the screen that we use in this initial phase as we get these drive-through testing up and running. I want to talk just a little bit about the Pontiac and the Pontiac residents. We know that there's a particularly low testing rate in the city of Pontiac for a variety of reasons, and we know we need to address that immediately. And the fact that our drive-through location is located here in Pontiac gives us the opportunity to begin to raise those numbers. But I want to be clear that while they will be prioritized in the first few days of this, all Oakland County residents are eligible to have testing at this facility. Just know how we're prioritizing that. And so to talk just a little bit about that, I want to invite Pontiac Mayor Deidre Waterman, who has joined us by conference call, to speak just a little bit about what she's seeing in the city of Pontiac and her perspective. So Mayor Waterman, if you press *6, that I'm told will unmute your phone, and maybe you could tell us just a little bit more about the challenges in Pontiac. Mayor, do we have you with us?
I'm here with you now, and thank you for this opportunity to be part of this announcement. As mayor of the city of Pontiac, which has really been besieged by this COVID-19 crisis, I'm really elated to work with you as the county to bring this much-needed testing site to Pontiac. Along with the City Council and all the citizens of Pontiac who are all affected in some way or another by this crisis, I applaud you, County Executive Dave Coulter, as well as your whole executive team, which has worked in concert with our Oakland County Commission, whose extraordinary efforts have made this happen. So I do send my congratulations to you and look forward to working with you. We know that testing and data collection are the guideposts tracking and controlling the spread of this disease. And we also acknowledge that you are prioritizing the citizens of Pontiac who are symptomatic and suffering and have had limited access to the testing, despite all the heroic work that's being done by our first responders at our healthcare facilities, which are really doing a fantastic job but are straining the capacity. So as we do this additional testing, it's important also to remember to begin tracking and reporting because the data is responsible, particularly in communities of color. Among other populations, we know that we face well-documented disparities in both access to health care. My hats are off to Honor Health, and we're partnering with this, the data reports that African Americans are disproportionately affected by the mortality and the complications of this disease. So this is a much awaited announcement. Thank you for all you've done. Look forward to working with you, and for all the citizens of Pontiac who want to avail themselves of this service. We will be helping you to spread this news and to get this much needed service provided for our citizens.
Mayor, thank you so much. Thanks for your leadership and cooperation as we've worked with your community, and we appreciate your support in this project as well. Thank you. Just a few more details about the drive-in testing, and then I'm going to ask Dr. Nick Hamady, from Honor Health to explain what the public can expect there. But just know, so for the first 2 days, so that's this Thursday and Friday, we're going to service between 50 and 100 people at this site as we begin to sort of ramp up and test how this works and see how the process goes. We anticipate that we'll be able to get to about 250 people a day when we're fully operational at that site beginning next week. The testing is going to take place Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and it's going to happen at the large parking lot, which is between the Circuit Court building and the medical examiner's office here on our county government campus on Telegraph Road in Pontiac. To make an appointment, if somebody is interested in being tested, this is what we ask you to do. We want you to call our Nurse on Call program, call number, and they can screen you and ask you the questions necessary so that we know that you are a priority person. But you can start to call that number tomorrow, and that number, our Nurse on Call number, is 800-848-5533. 800-848-5533. Our Nurse on Call folks are already taking hundreds of calls a day on other things, but they've proven to be just an invaluable piece of the puzzle for us. And so we believe that these frontline, experienced health professionals will be able to help navigate our residents through the questions that we'll have before we get you into screening. So with that, I would like to invite Dr. Hamady, again, Chief Medical Officer of Honor Community Health, just to explain a little bit about what the public can expect to see and what it looks like to run a drive-through center, which they're going to be very helpful in. So, Dr. Hamady, thank you.
Thank you, Executive Coulter. We value your leadership ensuring that Oakland County residents, particularly frontline workers and residents in the city of Pontiac, have access to necessary testing. Honor Community Health, which is the largest federally qualified health center here in Oakland County, is grateful for the strong and working relationship that we have, not just with Oakland County, but also with the Oakland County Health Department. And that's, again, to ensure wellness and health of our community here. By offering quick and easy testing, we can ensure that our residents are not further spreading this highly contagious virus, and that we are continuing to protect our most vulnerable residents throughout our county. We will continue to test. As we continue to test, we will gain valuable insight to the impact that this virus is having across our community. So, residents are probably wondering how this testing is going to occur. It is fairly straightforward. As Executive Coulter explained, individuals, our clients, are going to pre-register through the through the system, through the Nurse on Call system. When they approach the center, the site where we're going to test at the designated time that they have been allocated, they're going to pull up. They will be seeing our team that is going to be suited up in personal protective equipment, including a mask, goggles, and protective gowns. They're going to be driving up. We're going to be obtaining some pertinent information, ensuring that that is the individual who's actually going to be tested. We are then going to be actually performing the test. The test is fairly straightforward. It is a nasal swab that we're obtaining, and what this is that it is a little Q-tip applicator, which essentially looks like a Q-tip applicator. It's going to go into one of the nostrils. We're going to obtain the specimen. Actually taking the specimen from the individual or the patient takes approximately 5 to 10 seconds. That is then handed over to another team member, and upon completion of the testing, the client is given some information related to COVID-19 or the coronavirus. And any questions that they might have are explained to the client or to the patient, and that's the end of that process. It's a fairly straightforward process. We want to keep it simple. We want to make sure that we have access to our most vulnerable patients, our community, and that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. This is actually what one of the test kits looked like. I'd open it, but I don't want to waste one. But just know, there's a swab in here. There's a little blood collector here. Is that a
vial?
Huh?
A vial?
A vial in there where the swab would go. It's very simple, relatively painless. Maybe a little uncomfortable to have the swab in your nose, but truly much worse than the alternative. So I want to thank you, Doctor, and Debbie Brinson from Honor. We really couldn't do this without you. We appreciate your continued support. You're already a huge partner with us in Oakland Health 360, and we continue to thank you for your leadership in our county. Very much appreciated. So let me get to the next announcement, which is that we have our public health officer, Leanne Stafford, has issued another a new but renewed health order as of midnight last night, which renews and expands our previous health order that had expired, that orders employee screening and social distancing at businesses in Oakland County. So effective today, it is designed to prevent the further spread of COVID-19 in our community by requiring employees at our essential businesses who have contact with the public to wear face coverings. Oakland County is purchasing face coverings for its employees when we begin to restore operations. This order removes the social distancing aspects of our previous order because we believe those are sufficiently covered in the governor's order that she released just a few days ago, and I wholeheartedly support the governor's orders. And I believe that she has comprehensive social distancing requirements in there, so that we're pleased to recommend and to include those in our order. I want to still urge people to stay home. That's still the number one thing that you can do. But understand, obviously, you can still go out for essential things like groceries and the pharmacy and those sort of things. And obviously, that's part of the governor's order. But when you do go out, we know that it's now the best practice to wear a facial covering, right? And we think that by recommending these facial coverings to the employees who have frontline contact with the public, this will just help further prevent the spread of COVID. And so that is now also part of of Leanne's orders, and she can talk more specifically about that. We know that there's already a number of businesses that are requiring their employees to wear a face covering. We've seen a good many of them at the grocery stores and restaurants that deliver food, and I want to thank those businesses who have already begun to implement steps to do this, to ensure the safety of their employees and their customers. I want to make it clear that we're not asking you to do surgical masks or N95. Those continue to need to be preserved for healthcare workers and first responders, and those continue to be in very short supply, so don't use those. But what you can use, and I got a new one here this morning, is just sort of the homemade or other sort of fabric masks, right? So they got me one in Spartan Green. I was very excited about that. And for all of those of you who have been wearing these, you know that after an hour or so, you sort of just get used to it and it becomes the way of life. And I think this is going to be our way of life for a little while. And so we just all need to get used to wearing these, and especially in our essential businesses that are interacting with the public. Like I said, our employees, when they come back to Oakland County and they're interacting with the public, they'll be wearing these as well. We know these are the recommendations of the CDC, and so we all just need to start to get used to wearing these. So let me just hang on a second. So we're also responding to many requests we've begun to receive reporting the coronavirus recoveries in Oakland County. And that is the third thing that I want to talk about, we've had a lot of requests from, okay, we know how many positives there have been, we know how many fatalities, and we've been reporting that daily. What about the recoveries? So what you'll notice on our website starting today is that we've also begun to post this number. So I do want to have Leanne come up and talk a little bit about why that number is there, what it means, how we put all of these numbers in perspective. And by the way, I would also remind you that as of last week, we also started putting the positive cases by race on our website. We think that's important. As Mayor Waterman said earlier, we know there are health disparities in communities of color, and so we want to begin to get our arms around what that looks like and how we could begin to address that and going forward, what that means from a public health perspective. So I'd like to invite Leanne to come up and put the recovery numbers in perspective and discuss the health order in more detail. So.
You're watching a press conference from Oakland County offices live here on Civic Center TV in the Megacast.
Coulter. We are still in the midst of a battle to contain the spread of COVID-19. With your help, as Oakland together, we can flatten the curve. Once we do, we can begin transitioning the discussion from public health to economy recovery. We are working every day to implement strategies and measures that support flattening the curve, supporting essential workers, and helping our community try and stay safe and healthy during this pandemic. As Executive Coulter mentioned, we updated our previous order, which was known as 2020-05, which talked about requiring essential employees a daily screening as well as social distancing. So what this order does is it extends that order, and it requires that all businesses that are essential and remaining open during the governor's executive order must do a daily screening. And that includes three things. We're looking at assessing symptoms, and those symptoms include fever, cough, shortness of breath, sore throat, and diarrhea. We really encourage that if you have a touchless thermometer, that daily screening of fever check happens every day. But in the midst that you do not have a thermometer or a touchless thermometer, a screening program where a supervisor has a conversation with that employee to see how their health has changed over the day. That is the easiest way to see if someone's health has changed. The other thing we're asking to be as part of your daily update or screening is, have you had close contact with someone that was diagnosed with COVID-19? We still have people traveling, so have you traveled internationally or domestically in the last 14 days? So as part of that screening, if yes is answered to any of those questions, for symptoms, that individual needs to be out of work for 3 days with no fever.
We've already been doing that.
Without the use of medicine that reduces fever. It also needs to look forward if it have symptoms approved and 7 days since the first symptom. So 3 days without a fever, 7 days after the first symptom, and that individual can come back. If someone had close contact, 14 days, they should be at home watching for signs and symptoms. And if that person has traveled, they should also be home and self-isolating for 14 days. There are exemptions for essential health workers, for healthcare facilities that have an infectious control program, and those that are vital to chain and critical infrastructure, travel and movement to move supplies. So as I stated, this is a continuation of the emergency order prior to. We're extending it. This is a very important initiative for us to keep eyes on our employees to see how their health is changing on a daily basis. In addition to the screening that's continued, we've added a measure where any essential business that's providing goods and services with face-to-face interaction or with the public or close contact with goods and public purchases shall wear a facial covering and follow CDC guidance for wearing a facial covering. We have that linked to CDC up on our website so that people can take a look at that. And then Executive Coulter actually mentioned the mask that he had. So these essential businesses include grocery stores, restaurants, pharmacies, and any other essential location where social distancing is not possible. In addition, we strongly encourage any person of the public or any in the community that's going out in public for essential services such as groceries and pharmacies to also wear a facial covering. This is how we show our support and appreciation to these essential workers by ensuring that we all follow that recommendation anytime we're going out of our homes into the community setting. We thank all the essential businesses for their flexibility and understanding as the situation evolves and recommendations and requirements change. So now a little bit about recovery numbers on our dashboard. So this week we started reporting recovery numbers, and what that is following the state of Michigan definition is anyone that has recovered and onset date was at least 30 days prior. So this will be a rolling number. Every day we'll be looking at that data to see who's 30 days out to try to update that number. Tracking recoveries is a positive aspect of our COVID surveillance activities and can really help us understand how the community is doing. We think it's very important to share these numbers to support and convey a sense of hope in the community. If we follow social distancing, wear our face coverings, restrict our movements, and abide by the governor's stay-at-home order, we will flatten the curve and move in the right direction. Please stay home. If you must go out, we recommend wearing a mask, and don't forget to thoroughly wash your hands. Thank you, and I will pass it back to Executive Coulter.
Thank you, Leanne. I just want to say personally that the residents of Oakland County are so well served by the leadership of Leanne Stafford and her entire team at the health department, including Kathy Forsley and the entire team. I've been so proud of their around-the-clock efforts to help address this pandemic in our community. It's not something they originally signed up for, I imagine, but they are great at it, and I just really, really appreciate it. We're still in the midst of this battle. And I report these numbers every morning, but they're not just numbers to us and to me. These are individuals, these are our family members, and these are families that have now been impacted. And 350 lives affects the fabric of our county and devastates that many families and loved ones. And our hearts and our prayers go out to those families, and we're going to do everything we can from a public health perspective, and we think the things that we're announcing today help to further address this pandemic and slow it if we can. And so we still need your help. We still need the public's cooperation and participation in the measures that we've outlined. Together we will beat this, but we're still in the midst of it, and we can't let up yet. Once we do begin to bring these numbers down, we also know that we have to very quickly transition the discussion from public health to our economic recovery, and I can assure you that lots of conversations are already underway about what that looks like, how we can make sure that the economic engine of Michigan is well-oiled and prepared to help lead the state in the recovery after the pandemic. So just know we've got our eye on that as well, but right now, these individuals have to be front and center. So again, please stay home. If you have to go out, wear a face covering. They really aren't so bad. Thoroughly wash your hands. And thank you, everybody, for your cooperation. And so with that, I know that we have some members of the media on the line. I'll call on you in the order that we got your names. So when I call on you, just hit *6 to unmute your phones. And I believe Mark Cavett at the Oakland Press is first. Mark, are you there?
Hey, Dave, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can, Mark. How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Great.
Good. Do we know how many Oakland County residents have been tested at the state fairgrounds to date? And also, how many Oakland County residents have been tested to date total?
Yeah, I don't have those totals for you, Mark. We can certainly get that for you. We have that data, or at least some of that data, and be happy to provide that. I don't have it with me this morning. Yeah.
One more question too, Dave. Why prioritize Pontiac residents at this testing site? Just talk about that a little bit. This is different, obviously, from other sites. But just talk about the importance, I guess, of prioritizing those residents at your new site.
Yeah, and let me be clear, we're not excluding anyone else, but we're just saying that especially in these first couple of days as we ramp up and get our procedures down, the site is in Pontiac, and we know from a public health perspective that it's one of the lowest tested communities in our county. So we're going to give them a priority, but it's in this first initial ramp up period, but it's not an exclusion to other residents in our county. But we think we can do two things at once, which is to use these testing sites to begin to get at that low testing number in Pontiac, but also use it to help us figure out how to do this and work the kinks out of the system, because everyone in Oakland County, I want to make that clear, will be able to avail themselves of this site. Okay? Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ken from WJR, Ken Rogalski, are you there? Hit *6, Ken, if you're there. All right, maybe not. We can come back to you. Fox 2, I'm told, is on the line. I'm not sure who. Are you there? Fox 2 News. Hit *6 if you're there. All right, maybe not. We'll keep going. John Hewitt, are you there from WWJ?
I am. Thank you.
Hi, John.
I had a couple of quick questions, and then maybe what I would call one longer form. And I don't mean to monopolize, but to be clear, this is the first mass testing site for the county, correct?
Yeah, we have participated in the regional state fair testing site, but this is the first non-hospital drive-through location in Oakland County. Some of our hospitals have been doing drive-through testing for a while as well, but this will be the first non-hospital drive-through testing site in Oakland County.
Are there plans for any more to follow?
We're prepared to do that. Part of this is to see what the response is to this one. We plan for a worst-case scenario, and we are capable of doing additional testing, drive-through testing sites as needed. That's partly what we're going to sort of understand through this initial phase of this one, is just what the demand is.
And when it comes to recovery numbers, are there any posted at this point, or moving forward, obviously, but are there any numbers per se to quote now?
There are. It's on our website now. Leanne, do you have that current number? I think it's 200 and something. I saw it just about an hour ago. It's on the website now, John.
Thank you. The last question that I described as more longer form, I'd just be interested in your take, and I digress a second because yesterday Representative Slotkin was on a Detroit Chamber teletown hall talking about whatever our ramp up looks like economically down the road, it's going to need to require testing that she called deeply behind. When we talk about supplies and what our model will look like and what businesses should maybe be recommended to follow, etc., are you worried about the fact that there isn't going to be enough equipment to adequately test employees properly? I'm curious what businesses are telling you, kind of in a jumble, throwing that you all at once as to what it will look like a month from now or longer.
No, that's a great question, and the short answer to am I worried about supplies is yes. And we've been concerned about the adequacy of supplies from the very beginning, frankly, in terms of testing, in terms of swabs, in terms of masks. Supplies has been an ongoing challenge. And I agree with the representative that and you saw in the governor's comments yesterday that part of what reopening the state economy looks like is more robust testing. We need more testing. There's no question about it. And so it's one of the things that we're working through. Oh, by the way, as of yesterday, 298 county residents are considered recovered from COVID-19. 298. So that's a bright spot. But yeah, in general and specifically around testing, we are concerned, and we're going to, we have a window here. I don't know, the governor's order goes to the end of the month. I don't know if that will be the final order on stay at home, but we know when we reopen what are considered non-essential businesses now, we're going to have to do a lot more testing, and we've got a lot of work to do in the next couple of weeks to find more testing.
The last one, and I don't mean to monopolize, but since I have the channel and I appreciate it, and again, keeping things apolitical, because we all know what the governor said yesterday and has been saying, and what the Senate Majority Leader has been tweeting and communicating. Again, I'm not looking for political here, but what I'm wondering is against that backdrop, everybody wants the economy to reopen. Everybody would love to see that. But I'm just interested in from your perspective, the cautionary element of it, the too soon element of it, the not having enough materials and coordination of what people should be doing. With, all of that is a very complicated question. But many fear that, the impatience may get the better of us in a few weeks if you get the gist.
Yeah, I do. And, there's no magic wand as to what the appropriate date to reopen the government is, to use, for lack of a better term. But it has to be done carefully. There's no question that what we don't want to do is reopen non-essential businesses and then have a second wave of this pandemic hit us. And I'm looking at our health director right now, Kathy Forsley, who told me from the very beginning, pandemics often go in waves. So it is possible for there to be a second wave. And so what we don't want to do is open sooner than is appropriate. And I trust the state health folks that are looking at this and analyzing this. We continue to do that at the county level as well. I can tell you that our public health folks tend to be more conservative than some of the political folks in terms of what's an appropriate time frame. I take my advice from the public health folks. Which is not to say that I'm not concerned about the economy and what we can do to help our Oakland County businesses and our state businesses get on their feet and get roaring again and adding life to our economy. But we have to be very careful. We can do this wrong. And we can't afford to do this wrong. We can't afford the lives that it would take and the impact on businesses that would open and then have to close again. So I think it's a very sensitive question. I am a little discouraged by some of the partisanship that has happened in the last few days, because we have to stay together. We have to stay united in focusing on the real enemy here, which is COVID-19, and doing everything that we can as a county, as a region, and as a state, and as a country to defeat COVID-19 first. We will get our economy back on track, but we have to defeat the pandemic first, and we're not there yet.
I appreciate the answer. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person on the list is Chris Solari from the Detroit Free Press. Are you there, Chris? And if so, press star 6.
All right, we're going to move along here. That is the governor's press conference today from the Oakland County offices. David Coulter live, along with a number of other experts, sharing their thoughts here today as the county had one of their orders expired. They renewed it by asking businesses to continue to, actually not to continue, but a new order, Tyler, to actually start using non-surgical masks. And Executive Coulter actually showed the non-surgical mask and said that essential business workers who are working in public in restaurants and stores and other places out in public, or those that are unable to maintain the required social distancing under the governor's order, would need to start using non-surgical masks. He pointed out that the N95 masks and the surgical masks should be reserved for medical officials, and we saw some media reports that this wasn't going to go into effect for a while. It is now in effect immediately here in Oakland County. Coulter also talked today about setting up testing. It's going to be happening in Pontiac at the Oakland County offices on right off North Telegraph, and the way you get those tests are to call the county nurse, and the telephone number is 848-5533, 800-848-5533, Testing is going to be done in conjunction with Honor Community Health, which is the operator of Pontiac General Hospital. Testing is going to begin right away. Tyler, they're trying to get caught up with people in Pontiac who maybe have not had the opportunity to get in on the test, but anyone in the county that wants to go to this testing site, they'll be able to. You got to call the nurse, and then it's going to be drive-through testing. We'll do the swab, they'll send the test off, and we'll get the results back in several days.
Yeah, Executive Coulter made it clear that the first couple of days through this county testing is going to be prioritizing Pontiac because they have had a lack of proper testing for those residents, and because, of course, the Oakland County offices are in Pontiac, and there's a convenience factor to it, but that this is very much open to everybody in Oakland County, but specifically for people who are symptomatic with the COVID-19 symptoms.
We also heard from Leanne Stafford today during the media conference, and she shared with us some numbers, and the county is going to be focusing, as everyone is now, focusing more on recovered patients, and we're going to get that new metric. So we'll take a look at that in just a couple of minutes. So extension of the order in Oakland County, it is going to include masks for those essential workers at a new testing site and a new telephone number to call the county nurse on call, 800-848-5533. Has a big impact on Pontiac. We're going to talk to Deidre Waterman, who is the mayor of Pontiac, tomorrow on the show. Just taking a quick look down here, Tyler. I think I can do that. Yes, I can. We got a great show lined up tomorrow because we're going to have the mayor of Pontiac. We are also going to have Oakland County Commissioner Marcia Gershenson on, and then Brenda Lawrence, U.S. Congressperson, joining us tomorrow as well. So we'll have a great opportunity to hear from some of our key elected officials, both locally and regionally and nationally, in Congresswoman Lawrence tomorrow, and get some feedback on all this. Okay, so that is the news of the day. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a couple of moments. We'll go down our headlines. Joining us is Kurt Lawson in just a moment. He is the Chief Information Officer in West Bloomfield and the Assistant Chief of the Police Department, and we're also going to check in real quickly before the show comes to a close with one of our fine clerks, Debbie Binder, also from West Bloomfield, and talk about the upcoming election. We have an election coming up, and I'm not so sure that we have all the election workers that we need, because traditionally retired people have been engaged in working the elections. It may not be quite as safe for them now. We'll find out how all that's going very quickly as we wrap up the show in a couple of minutes. You are listening to and watching the Megacast on Civic Center TV, civiccentertv.com, and, of course, in the Walled Lake Consolidated School District Facebook page today, and not one, not two, but three great radio stations: 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH, the Biff, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. Back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonay Khaldun. I'm the Chief Medical Executive for the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. The people who are at highest risk of getting severely ill from COVID-19 are the elderly and those with chronic medical conditions. That includes people with heart disease, diabetes, COPD, or those who have compromised immune systems. People who are in those categories should right now be staying at home as much as possible and not going out if it is not essential. If you fit into one of those categories, those are the things you should do. And if you have a family member who fits into one of those categories, you should be checking in on them and making sure they are following those guidelines. There's something everyone can do to protect the community from COVID-19.
Hi, I'm Dr. Faust, the Medical Director for the Oakland County Health Division. The most important thing you can do to prevent the spread of illness is to wash your hands thoroughly and often. Follow these 6 easy steps every time you wash your hands. Step 1, turn on the sink and wet your hands with warm water. Step 2, apply soap to your hands and lather between your fingers, under your nails, and the front and back of your hands and wrists. Step 3, wash your hands by scrubbing them together for at least 20 seconds. Step 4, rinse your hands with warm, clean water. And step 5, dry your hands with a clean cloth towel, a paper towel, or hot air blow dryer. If you're using a cloth towel, make sure to change it often. For handheld faucets, turn off the water using a paper towel instead of your bare hand. Step 6, if you're using a paper towel, throw it away. Practice healthy habits like washing your hands after coughing or sneezing into them to keep you and others healthy. Go to oakgov.com/health or call Nurse on Call at 1-800-848-5533 to learn more.
Welcome back to the Megacast here on 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH The Biff, and of course on WAHS, Avondale Community Radio. We thank you for tuning in. You can watch us on CivicCenterTV.com and also Civic Center TV Channel 15, Channel 99 on AT&T. And thank you again to Walled Lake Consolidated Schools for offering up their Facebook page today. We greatly appreciate it. One of the many ways you can join in on the Megacast. So we heard from David Coulter, the county executive in Oakland County. We shift to West Bloomfield now. We're checking in from his office right down the road. West Bloomfield Police Department is Assistant Chief and the Chief Information Officer in West Bloomfield, Kurt Lawson. Officer Lawson, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. That's kind of a tough act for me to follow as the county executive. He's very well spoken.
He is. You listen. You got some skills too, my friend. So
I appreciate that.
It's good to have you with us, Kurt Lawson. So much going on. We have a new order in Oakland County that says if you're working in a restaurant or a store, virtually anywhere, you're an essential worker, and you're out in public, then you need to wear a mask. So that's an extension. We've almost all the restaurants and folks and grocery stores I've been going to, it seems like all the workers are wearing masks anyway.
I think that's the trend. That's where we're headed. I know that I went to a store maybe a week ago and I noticed about half the employees had their masks on. All of them had their latex gloves on, which I was glad to see, but I really was thinking to myself, I'd like to see all of them with those masks on as they're preparing the food and touching all the packages and things like that. So I think we're moving in the right direction as far as the masks are concerned. And then in a general sense, I think we're moving in the right direction because looking at the data, we're seeing some of those numbers start to come down a little bit.
They are starting to come down, and this is where it gets complex. Good. I mean, really good, because we're seeing improvement. That's something to celebrate, but it gets complex. When do we open up businesses? How do we get through this? How do we navigate these waters over the next couple of weeks? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of debate. Hopefully it won't get too political. We'll figure. I'm confident, the public will figure this out and sort it out with some great leadership. But we got some bumpy waters, bumpy roads ahead of us here for the next few weeks.
Well, I think that we do. Number one, the weather is starting to get warm outside, and people want to get out. I fielded probably 15 different calls from people about, hey, can I go golfing? So people want to get out of their houses. They're tired of being cooped up. As we get closer and closer to the upcoming election, politics is going to start rearing its head here a little bit. But as far as I'm concerned, and all of us here in West Bloomfield, we're doing the right thing. The shelter in place as much as possible, get out, do your exercise, and keep that social distance. But we believe that the numbers of people that are sick or have died due to the COVID-19 crisis certainly would be much higher if we weren't taking some of the steps that we've taken here in Oakland County and throughout the state of Michigan.
Well, no question about it. And I think one of my biggest areas of concern before we start talking about golf, no golf, boating, no boating, we'll get into that in a minute. But let's be honest. I mean, the big challenge we still have here is the elderly and nursing homes and senior care facilities and assisted living centers. That is still a huge area of concern, even if we come out of this and we start, the rest of us start going to businesses. I'm sure we have our hands full in these facilities, and we have a lot of them here in our neighborhood.
We do have a lot of assisted living, a lot of nursing homes right here in West Bloomfield. Our fire department, as I said last week, they're up 30% as far as their run volume, and they have been going to quite a few runs at our nursing home facilities and our assisted living facilities. We are worried about that as well, and sometime relatively soon we're going to have to open things back up, and how they decide to do that is going to be very important. Because like we said, everyone wants to get out of their house. They want to start going to restaurants and bars and golf courses and get in their boats. But we need to be really smart about this and really careful. We want to protect the economy as much as possible, but we really need to protect those people that are vulnerable and that includes certainly our elderly population.
Looking at media reports from around the state of Michigan, I've seen that sheriff departments around the state, not here in our backyard, have primarily been warning people and issuing very few citations. What's going on here in your municipality?
Well, thankfully, our residents are very understanding. They're listening very well to the executive order from Governor Whitmer. We've had to give very few warnings and absolutely no citations to this point. We have a lot of religious facilities right here in West Bloomfield, and they've been very cooperative as well. We haven't seen any large gatherings. Some of the gatherings that we have seen, some of the teenagers that want to get together at a park or a basketball court, and we'll stop by and explain it to them that we really want them to be safe and healthy, and we really need them to head back home. And for the most part, everyone's been very cooperative.
All right, well, that's good news. And, it's teenagers. They need to be reminded about, when it's time to do this, that, and the other things. That's no big surprise. Glad to see that people are following the rules. And I went on a media-driven mission of my own over the weekend, and I observed all the golf courses I could. I intentionally went out just to see what behavior I would run into. And I'm able to get a unique perspective because of my avocation. And I looked at every golf course in Oakland County, and I didn't see anybody on any single golf course.
And that's how it's been here in West Bloomfield. And I'm always in discussion with our neighboring departments, and they've seen the same thing. The one issue we've had is there's a Free Press article this past weekend where a spokesperson for the Attorney General's office stated that it was her belief that if you had a membership to a private golf course, that you could go walk the course, you could play golf. We've reconnected with our attorneys here in West Bloomfield. We've looked at the past executive order 2020-42, and we really believe that that goes against the governor's orders for people to go out and play golf at this time, whether it's a public or private golf course. So we will be going out and warning people once again that we'd like them to stay off the golf course. They can get their exercise, keep that social distancing, but not playing golf at this time.
Yeah, it's a debate for another day. Should that have been part of the order? We could talk about that later. That's not your job to make the rules. It's your job to enforce them, and so I understand what you're doing. I mean, it does get complicated. If you're on Orchard Lake in a sailboat, it's okay. If you're on Orchard Lake in a motorboat, it isn't okay. Right. So you got to draw the line somewhere. I get that, and it's been hard. But I'm glad to see that you've not had to issue any citations. And by and large, based on my observations and what we're hearing from you, people are doing pretty darn good.
Well, we've been able to get the word out on what the executive orders are, what they say. We've been trying to explain them through this radio station, through Civic Center TV, through the police Facebook, Twitter, through our website here at the Township of West Bloomfield. I know our elected officials have been responding to residents all times of the day and night. So trying to get the information out there, and we just have a really great partnership with our community, and everyone's been very cooperative and understanding of we're going to get through this, but we're all in this together. And even though we're getting frustrated, we got to hold that line for a few more weeks.
All right. Well, Kurt Lawson, I have so much more to ask you, but we are tight in time. We'll get caught up again soon. We had the county executive's press conference run a little longer than we planned. Thank you. Anything else you want to share with people today?
I see that Debbie Binder is next on deck, and she can take it from here.
All right, we're going to do just that. Kurt Lawson, he is the Chief Information Officer from West Bloomfield. We're going to take a 30-second time out. We'll check in with our West Bloomfield Township Clerk in just a moment.
I know you're concerned about the coronavirus, and we're working hard to combat its spread and keep your family safe. But we need your help, too. Wash your hands often with soap for at least 20 seconds. Avoid touching your face and cough into your sleeve. Replace handshakes with an elbow bump. Avoid large crowds or events, and if you're sick, stay home and call your health provider. Every one of us can make a difference limiting the virus's spread and keeping Michigan healthy.
All right, welcome back to the Megacast. Dave Scott, Tyler Keefe, and we thank you for joining us on our great radio stations and on Civic Center TV across across all of Metro Detroit. You can tune in on Channel 99 AT&T and watch it, or Channel 15 in the West Bloomfield area, and you can also tune in to our outlets on the radio, WAHS in Avondale, WBFH, the Biff in the Bloomfield area and in the West Bloomfield area. It's Lakes FM. Checking in right now. Very quickly, looks like she's at home today. Debbie Binder. Of course she's at home. Debbie Binder, West Bloomfield Township Clerk. Debbie, we only got a couple of minutes. Thank you for joining us. We got an election coming up, and we've seen some reports around the state from different media outlets that there's concern because most of the election workers in the past have been retired folks, and they may not be available right now to help. What's going on?
It is true that most of our election workers are, the average age in the state of Michigan is 76 years old. So we are looking at an aging population of election workers. We have been working for sustainability to engage younger election workers for the last few years. We're obviously pushing toward that now, but it has been something we've been focused on the last few years.
So what's this? Yeah, you're working on a solution. Should we let people know if you're not a senior citizen, you want to get involved in the election, to call your office, or what can we do to help?
I appreciate it very much. We would absolutely take help getting anybody that we can that's willing to come in and work elections. We don't know yet. We have a lot of unknowns. One, they're discussing all mail in voting. We don't know if that will happen. That will make a difference because it will, instead of having to staff 25 precincts, I may have a few voting centers, but I will have that entire pool to choose to contact to see if they'll work the absent voter counting board. So a lot of it depends on what orders and what legislation comes forward. We're anxiously awaiting that, but we do need, whether or not we have this situation now, we do need to engage the next generation of election worker. That being said, they're not lining up out the door to come work elections right now in this climate. So we're doing the best we can. Any helping, get that word out you can do would be greatly appreciated. It is a great opportunity for the young person. It's a phenomenal thing to have on your resume or your college application. In addition, I write a nice recommendation for those college applications.
Do you have to be, Debbie Binder, Township Clerk in West Bloomfield, do you have to be of voting age? Is there a minimum age requirement?
Technically, the rule says you have to be an elector, but you can staff a precinct with 16-year-olds as long as, and obviously they're not electors yet, that as long as you have 3 18-year-olds in a precinct, you can put 16-year-olds to work. And we have had a few that have come in and done it. It's a great opportunity. We have a teacher at West Bloomfield High School, Mrs. Chase, who I'm going to give a shout out to because she has kept us with a steady stream of high school kids to work elections.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, a great opportunity for high school age students to get involved in the whole election process. They can do this job, no question about it. And I tell you what, I got to go because we had the Coulter's press conference go a little long, but we'll talk again. But if you don't mind, we will check in with the superintendents who we're talking to every day in the show and ask them if they want to get involved. We're on the Walled Lake Consolidated Schools Facebook page today. So if you're a student or a teacher in that district or any other district, get a hold of Debbie Binder in West Bloomfield or your clerk in your community, and maybe you can put a program together for your high school students to get involved and actually work the polls. It's a great idea.
Yeah, it would be great. It really would be wonderful, and it's a great population to go after. So I appreciate your help with that, Dave.
No problem. You got 30 seconds. Anything else you want to add today before we have to say so long?
No, I just, again, I appreciate everything you are doing for the community, making sure people have information. You and Tyler, your show is entertaining, but it also is extremely informative. So I think you're doing a tremendous job helping the community with the Megacast during this time.
All right. Well, very, very kind of you. Thank you very much for your kind words. Tomorrow, we got a great show, Debbie. I hope you tune in because we are going to be talking to the mayor of Pontiac. She was just in the press conference. We're going to talk to a Detroit area distillery who is helping us to make hand sanitizer. Oakland County Commissioner Marcia Gershenson checks in, and then we're going to talk to Brenda Lawrence, our representative in the U.S. Congress, tomorrow here on the show, along with other local officials on the front line of fighting the coronavirus right here in Oakland County. Thank you very much for tuning in. Tyler, what do I got, about a minute here? Got about a minute? All right, so we're going to have to scoot along. Thank you to everyone. It really worked out great today. Good to have everybody on board. Thanks to all of our guests. Thanks to you, Debbie, and to Kurt Lawson and to Ken Cooper and the other people. These great students, Jack and Sammy Pollock, who joined us earlier today. And what was that, time.gov? Is that what I'm trying to go to? I don't know if I can do that and talk on the radio at the same time. I got to find out what my out time is for the show, and a whole lot more. So thanks to everyone who joined us in the show. Jack and Sammy Pollock, who set up the website Quarantine, Ken Gutman, Superintendent of Schools in West Bloomfield, and again, our Ken Cooper talking about Zoom and the other applications. Make sure you tune in again tomorrow. Got a great lineup for you. I hope you will be with us for the Megacast. And a huge thanks to all of our media participants here on the Megacast, and that includes Civic Center TV, Channel 15 and Channel 99 on AT&T. A big shout-out and thanks to the Walled Lake Consolidated Schools for having us on Facebook. We always get a ton of people watching when you are with us, and a serious shout-out to our radio stations who we know have some really fine music coming up right after the Megacast today. That includes 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 WBFH The Biff in Bloomfield Hills and Birmingham and up toward Pontiac, and WAHS 89.5 Avondale Community Radio. The show would not be having the impact if you guys weren't all here. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in to the Megacast, and we will see you tomorrow morning.